You guys know what I hate? The, what's it called? The paradox of the Wii U. The Wii U came out and people didn't realize what it was. And, one of the big things you had with the Wii U was people thought it was a tablet add-on for your Wii, so not many people bought a Wii U. So something like 13 million consoles. Not too bad, especially when you say that's quite a lot of people. 13 million. If you had that many people in a room, you probably got a bigger room. So, I want to talk about this, right? Because one of the arguments I've seen is that the Wii U had no games. Now, I want to talk about some. I've got some Wii U games here. I haven't got all the Wii U games I wanted to get for this video because, well, it turns out my retro game stores don't always have the best stock, obviously, because you need to get like certain things anyway. So I'm going to start by using some Switch games, for example. So we'll start with obviously a big series that started on the Wii U, and that is Splatoon. The Splatoon 2 and 3 are both on the Switch, and they've been incredibly successful for Nintendo. It's obviously one of their probably best-selling new franchises, to be honest. Like, the original game sold like 5 million units on the Wii U, which for the Wii U, that is insane. That's like almost half the people who had a Wii U had Splatoon 1. Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3 have obviously sold a lot better because obviously they're on the Switch, and the Switch obviously was a lot more successful. But let's be real, the series started on the Wii U. It is going to obviously be known as the Wii U series. And it's incredible that this game basically launched a new era for Nintendo, especially with online gaming. Because for a long time, their only online games really were like Mario Kart and Smash Bros. And no one really cared about anything else they did for online. Because online for other games was just kind of cool. But now it obviously has Splatoon. That's that genuine, FPS, sort of team deathmatch or capture the flag sort of game, like similar to it's like a Kiddie 5 version of Call of Duty in a way, and it's just a lot of fun. And they started on the Wii U, which is quite incredible. Now, another series that started on the Wii U was actually one that fans wanted for a long time. Super Mario Maker. Like, this is technically, like Splatoon, it's not a exact port. It is obviously a sequel that was put onto the Switch. But obviously, it is still a major part of obviously the situation, because if you didn't have the Wii U, you wouldn't have this game. It is quite an interesting idea to be able to make your own Mario levels, and obviously the fact that they've made a follow-up to this, and they just basically improved a bunch of stuff, added a bunch of new features to the Switch 2, well, not Switch 2, the Switch sequel. It's quite nice. It's quite nice to see that they knew these games were innovative. They knew people liked these games, and they knew that these games were coming from obviously where they were coming from. And then he's factoring that they obviously had these games that basically were they did sell quite well for what the Wii U sold. Let's be real. But these games weren't huge hits. It wasn't like a Star Fox Zero situation where these games flopped. It's like these games did quite well, and these clearly did well enough to actually get follow-ups on the Switch. Then we have some other games. So we have like Mario Kart 8. This is obviously the Wii U version. It is arguably out of the two versions that exist, it's arguably the weaker version, because obviously the 8 Deluxe obviously had improved graphics, improved lighting, improved DLC, extra characters, extra modes, all that sort of stuff. So this is arguably the lesser version of the two games. But once again, Mario Kart 8 was on the Wii U. It is obviously the original version of this game. And it's kind of ironic that people seem to forget that Mario Kart 8 was actually on the Wii U. And it's another example that, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the best-selling Switch game. By a mile. It's by a country mile, it is like the best-selling game. So why people don't realize it was actually not an original game for the Wii for the Switch, and it was actually originally developed for the Wii U. It's actually kind of insane, to be honest. And then you also have New Super Mario Bros. U, which you obviously have you have New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which includes obviously New Super Luigi U as well. Obviously, kind of a weird game that they ported to the Switch. Not gonna lie, because obviously you've got U in the title. It's got the U. So people obviously, when you see the cover art, it has like the Joy-Cons next to Deluxe. It's kind of an odd, like, to me it feels kind of passive aggressive. Like, it feels like the most passive aggressive Mario box art you could ever see. Then you obviously have games like Super Mario 3D World, which obviously this game basically just got Bowser's Fury like DLC added onto it, and that basically became the Switch version. Was obviously New Super Mario 3D World plus obviously Bowser's Fury. It was obviously the Switch version of this game, added a new mode, and obviously they charged extra money for it because obviously DLC. Then we have Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. This game is like, if you watch Scott the Woz, you kind of know what I'm going to say. This game, was great, but it came out at the wrong time. Like, the Wii U kind of needed, like, more 3D games, more games pushing the hardware. And they got Donkey Kong Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which obviously DLC. It is not bad. It's a fun little game, but obviously could have come out at a better time. Obviously, they got a Switch port. It got a Switch port quite early on as well. And also, this one has a new Funky Kong mode. The Funky Kong mode, because obviously we all know Funky Kong. You know, I don't think he was in any previous Donkey Kong game before this. It's just kind of funny. But yeah, and you actually look at it, and the Wii U was a failure. Sure. But I feel like to a lot of people, they didn't realise how big a deal it actually was. Because a lot of the problems with the Wii U came down to marketing and third-party support. But if you're, like, let's say, for example, like, would you say 13 million consoles sold for a company like, say, I don't know, Atari or Evercade? Would you call that a failure? What if the Steam Deck sold 13 million? Would you call that a failure? That'd be how does a success? No. What it is, where Nintendo is one of the big three console manufacturers, them selling 13 million consoles was seen as an objective failure, and people seem to misunderstand that the Wii U is not actually Nintendo's worst selling console because the Virtual Boy exists, and let's be real, the Virtual Boy is the worst selling console Nintendo's ever produced. If you don't count, like, you know, hardware made specifically for stores or hardware, like, variations, like, it is definitely the worst selling. And it was only on the market for, like, 6 months anyway, so it's kind of fair. But to me, 13.5 million consoles sold, not too bad. And also, let's be real, the Wii U has some great games. They just had terrible load times. And really, people need to understand that the Switch is arguably Nintendo's worst generation when it comes to original games. Because they've spent so long in the Switch lifespan porting Wii U games. And so many of the games on the Switch are just Wii U ports with DLC. That's a lot of them, and it's kind of insane that the Switch got all this praise for great games, and a lot of the earlier games they put on there and got a lot of praise for were just Wii U ports. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment, all that sort of stuff. I've been EC, and I'm signing out. Peace.